Hello bandits. Croeso a diolch yn fawr the folks at Headwear Games and Ratalaika Games. I've been taking a look through their PS1 inspired, low-res, low-poly, cinematic horror flick Chasing Static. While Chasing Static has been released for some time over on PC, I'm checking it out here on Xbox Series X. Set in the creepy depths of what is allegedly rural Wales, Chasing Static is an homage to the low-poly, low-res horror titles and PS1 classics. This title provides a non-linear and relatively short story which is inspired by 80s sci-fi horror. You play as Chris, a man originally just travelling through the country before being pulled into this adventure in a rather Americanised diner. After being transported to a seemingly new plane, you'll use an experimental frequency displacement monitor to uncover the mystery surrounding the village of Hearth and try your best to save the day. As a Welshman, I was quite excited to see a video game set within our green and pleasant land, but unfortunately, however, saying it's set in Wales is about all we get. The setting seems more American than anything else, and even the ambulances we see brought in are clearly designed as east of England. Sadly, the most Welsh thing about the title is the rain we get along the way. Chasing Static is rated by Peggy at 16 and above and by the ESRB as a mature 17+. This one brings some decent oppressive atmospheres and can be a little unnerving at times. In addition to some language, you'll also find distressing themes, violence and notes around the place as well. While the low poly visuals don't portray realism, it's still not something which I'd be happy to play around our micro bandits. As such, this one is getting a rating of 2 out of 5 with some caution advised. For accessibility, the mechanics in the title are fairly simple and you'll spend most of the time pointing your device around the place and following it. Controls are relatively simple and there's not a point at which we felt a huge amount of pressure, making it pretty good to take your time with. The relatively short time that you'll spend ghost hunting can be a little fiddly even for an able-bodied person, but it's not something which is overly worrying. Overall, for accessibility, Chasing Static is getting a rating of 4 out of 5 with a very low barrier. And with that stacked up onto the rundown, our 5-point rating for Chasing Static. Gameplay, 2 out of 5. The main gameplay of Chasing Static is a relatively short walking simulation with object collection from various areas. Sadly, we've been beset by glitches, and even within one playthrough of this relatively short 2-hour title, we've suffered from over 15 crashes. Every loading screen has the potential to freeze, and quitting to dashboard has meant that we've lost a lot of progress along the way. Using the sonic detection device is also fairly short range, and we've got quite lost at times going here and there, suffering through multiple more loading screens than we needed to. Visuals, 2 out of 5. From the outset, the visuals are pretty much in the spirit of the lo-fi PS1, and this is a purposeful homage. As a modern day lover of retro games, I don't hate this, however sadly there are plenty of bugs and glitches here on Xbox as well, with disappearing trees, random floating boxes and poorly implemented lighting. Audio, 2 out of 5. Strangely, each line of script is actually pretty well acted and the voices and accents are pretty decent. However, the pacing of narration and conversations is incredibly off. Each line is followed by an unnatural pause, and this has really hampered immersion and the story overall. Sound effects are actually really nice, but issues within conversation really overshadow the bits that the audio does well. Narrative, 5 out of 5. If you can get through the strange voice acting quirks, there's actually a nice little story here behind everything. The really sad thing is that this is overshadowed by the struggle to get through the title thanks to bugs, glitches and poor pacing. Replay, 3 out of 5. There's only about 2 hours of gameplay in the title, but there are multiple endings and lots of backstory notes to find about the place. Unfortunately, again, bugs, glitches and crashes make it a chore to go back and grab things that you've missed previously. Overall, the Pixel Bandits low poly level for Chasing Static on Xbox Series X is a lacking 4 out of 10 or pedwar bob deg. Chasing Static has some great ideas, but they are sadly very poorly executed. The Wales in the game isn't very Welsh at all, and visual bugs and glitches mean that the scary parts aren't very scary. Most of all, frequent loading screens and plenty of game crashes have made this one more frustrating than anything else. There are some great concepts, but sadly, this is not one that we're recommending. And that's all I've got for you today. Don't forget to check out the extended review at pixelbandits.org and keep your eyes out for more news, reviews and live streams coming soon. If you can spare enough for a coffee, every donation helps us keep Pixel Bandits ad-free and independent, and either way we'll see you again very soon, so don't wander too far.